unbroken democracy. 3 years in the life of this administration, the ruling party. And when making comparisons about what it had been like, what the journey had been like, 3 years of Obasani's administration in Kaduna State, and what had happened, because there are issues about Kaduna State. We can talk about insecurity, infrastructure, education, health, but Obasani has managed to, to come through and to pass through all of these, making Kaduna State today a peaceful state and a state that is stabilized. And according to what we're getting to hear, that about $3.5 million has been spent on stabilizing the state and, of course, investment also in the state. Minister, Commissioner of Information, what has this been like in these 3 years of Obasani's administration and 27 years of unbroken democracy?
Okay, gentlemen and ladies, our audience all over the state listening to us, I want to say good morning once again. I think let me start with the 27 years of unbroken democracy. This is a great success or victory for democracy. From 1999 to date, Nigeria is no longer being seen as a learning democracy. Democracy is getting rooted, stabilized. Of course, not without challenges. We've had two major political parties, the PDP and then the APC, taking leadership across the country. Of course, like I said, there are challenges one cannot pretend over. But regardless of the challenges, having a democratic system is far better than a military administration. At least for those of us who are old enough to have seen the military administration, and then what we're seeing today. And then, of course, a lot that have not even witnessed the military administration, but they have read in the books of history what military administration is and was in the past, will definitely agree that we're better. Looking at it just from the angle of freedom, the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech, the freedom of the media, because a lot of people have had to pay a price for democracy to return to Nigeria. Of course, like I said, there are challenges of where even under democracy, the media still face some harassment. Some citizens also face some challenges of being detained, arbitrarily across the country and subnational. But I can still tell you it is better because during the military administration, you can dare not have a conversation like this on a radio station. So the freedom, there is a freedom, in the air, and democracy is getting fully rooted across the country. At least we've been tested. The most recent is an attempt to have a coup d'etat by some military guys, and because of how democracy is getting rooted, that was exposed, and currently investigations are going on those who have made that attempt. But I can assure you that Nigeria is back in democracy, and we cannot afford to go back into military era. That is generally about the 27 years. I would rather want to focus more on Kaduna State and, of course, the administration of His Excellency Senator Obasani, who has been on the reign for 3 years today. He was sworn in on the 29th of May 2023, and today we're in 29 May 2027. This is 3 years. 26. That's about 3 years into the term of 4 years. And Kaduna have not had it better than what we have right now. Just in the introduction, I think we need to make clarity. When we say $3.5 million being spent for security and stability, that is not correct. But what is correct is Kaduna have been able to attract through this period because of the stability of security, an investment of $3.51 billion. You know, because before now, the ease of doing business ranking, Kaduna has been on the 8th position in the ranking across the country. But because of the security and stability, because there are major indicators that investors look at before coming to invest in anywhere. And one of the key indicators, the most important of all indicators, is the issue of security and peace. Because before any investor looked at what profit is going to make from any setting, he first and foremost looked at how safe is his investment. So the rating, because of the stability and the peace that have returned to Kaduna, Kaduna jumped from 8th position to 2nd position. Kaduna is only 2nd after Lagos in terms of ease of doing ranking. And these are the indicators that investors looked at before going to any state to invest or any country to invest. And that significantly have led to that investment portfolio of $3.51 billion in the last 3 years, largely because peace is here in Kaduna, security is here in Kaduna. We don't want to remember the immediate past of what Kaduna was in recent history, because these are not times you remind people of the bad days. Like I have always said, His Excellency the Governor have not declared victory over insecurity. We still have pockets of challenges because we are a society, we are humans. Nobody will tell you we have addressed 100% security. We still have, particularly in the fringes, where you have communities bordering other states. Kaduna is large enough, is bordered by 8 states, and the FCT. Kaduna is bordered by Niger State, by the FCT, by Nasarawa State, by Plateau State, by Bauchi State, by Kano, by Katsina, and also, part of Zamfara. They are all border, states with borders. So, regardless of what you have in Kaduna, you have pockets of attacks, from those communities. I may not want to mention a community, but there is a community where we have successfully achieved peace, but then you have reprisal, because in those fringes, the community members and of course the criminals do not know the borderline. So you have interchanges of security challenges, and we're on top of it. We're working because one of the key challenge is of course the landmass that we have, and the ability of security agencies to respond, because you have very high lands, with rocks and mountains, and there are no access. And that is why this administration is deliberate in the last 3 years to, provide infrastructure across urban and rural communities. Over the years, over the decades, focus has always been in the city centers, in the metropole. But, providing road access in these rural communities addresses a quite number of challenges. Because if you are able to provide road access, one, majorly you are connecting communities. Most of these communities, Kaduna is, populated by about 60% farmers. So you are connecting these communities, connecting farmers to the market. Whatever they farm, they have access to the market. You are connecting the communities for economic activities. You are connecting communities for also access to security agencies, because sometimes communities are helpless when they call for help. When there are security challenges, security men do not have access to respond. So this road access is also, improving the issue of security. It's also improving in terms of education, because you are connecting children to school, and also you are connecting communities to health centers. You are also improving health centers, the health well-being of this community. So providing road access is multidimensionally useful to our communities, and that is why this administration of His Excellency Governor Upasani had focused a lot of effort in not just providing development within the city centers, on the urban centers. You know, it's gone are those days where you only go to those communities when you're seeking for their votes. It is important you provide development in the communities, and that will also control, urban rural drift, where a lot of people leave the rural communities to the urban centers. You have a lot of amenities, social amenities being overstretched, and then you have urban crime.
All right, Honorable, I see where you're driving at, and I also want to take you to this administration of the APC, both at national level and I come down to the state level, and that's about its renewed hope that it is telling Nigerians. You and I, I'm sure, do know that we're going through very difficult times, too hard times, and Nigerians will talk about hunger in the land, the pains, that had never been, some would say, had never been, experienced. But yes, but in this renewed hope that this administration of the Bola Tinubu had given to Nigerians, and I, compared to what we're having in the state. Now, what's the renewed hope that part of what you've mentioned for Kaduna State? What is it driving at? Because again, I'm looking at security that this administration is taking into consideration, very serious consideration, and I'm looking at the opportunities given to youths for empowerment and all of that. But the renewed hope, how is it going to work on the psyche of the people that are experiencing very difficult times now?
Okay. It's a very simple analogy. One of the key steps that was boldly taken by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on May 29, 2023, barely 3 years today, was the removal of the oil subsidy. That removal of the subsidy is one major economic decision, political and developmental policy decision that this administration took. Because when you look at it from the broader term, what is oil subsidy? Yes, government subsidize. The simple example I will give to you is, Mr. Toyin, you buy rice and you buy food items in your house, and somebody, either your community leader or your district head or your local government chairman or some businessman in your community is saying, okay, you are buying rice at, you are supposed to buy rice at 20,000 naira, but government will provide a subsidy that you buy it at about 20% the amount. Instead of buying it at 20,000, you're probably buying the rice at 40,000. Government will pay 160,000 on your behalf. This 160,000 goes into private pockets by people that call themselves marketers, businessmen who are into the business of oil and gas. So government pay 160 on your behalf, while you pay 40 naira. Regardless, you still pay that money, but a few people make a lot of money, riches, because government is paying that subsidy. And it's not realistic. You pay a lot of resources in subsidizing the oil. So Nigeria as a country, at the time, import oil. When I say oil, I mean petroleum products and all the other subsidiary items around oil. Nigeria as a government pays some, cartel, what they call subsidy, on your behalf. You are supposed to buy a liter of oil at about 5,000 naira, and government is paying on your behalf to subsidize the cost. For you, yes, you are paying less, but it is a temporary measure, just to cushion the effect of buying fuel. But in the long term, that would go into the future of Nigeria as a country, and of course the younger generation will continue to pay for it. So this administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took that decision to remove that fuel subsidy. We are not going to pay subsidy. So instead of paying subsidy, government have more resources to give to subnationals. Government have more resources to give to local government. Since you are not buying rice 40 naira, buy it at 200, the 20,000. Then we will give you money to buy the rice yourself. So that is ending a cartel. That is in simple analogy what I can tell you about subsidy. So a lot of subnationals like Kaduna got more resources than they used to get before then. And it is a great thing that from that fuel subsidy, let me give you an example of what Kaduna is able to do with its own resources that it got. One, it invested a lot in ensuring security. It invested a lot in providing infrastructure. It invested a lot in education, in health. And let me give you one example that the people of Kaduna can easily resonate. The state government bought 100 CNG buses. These 100 CNG buses, is moving across Kaduna to take, initially it was just meant to take students and civil servants. But then the government realized that there are a lot of other people who are not civil servants, who are not students, but are very critical part of the state because they contribute economically. Traders that go out to the market contribute economically to the state. A lot of people, survive on the daily activity that happens in this community. You have a lot of artisans that go to certain communities to work and earn 2,000 naira or 3,000 naira a day or 5,000 naira a day, and they spend a lot of this in transport. So the state government bought 100 CNG buses to provide free transport service. When we started this in July, when Mr. President came to Kaduna Commission in June 2025, and we started the bus services in July 2025, we're transporting 18,000 people every day. This includes civil servants, this includes students, artisans, traders, and all people of Kaduna State who are moving within the route, the corridor where these buses are. And they are moved. These people can testify whether or not what I'm saying is correct. Every morning, we transport 18,000 people to their places of work, to the market, to one places to the other. Students are moved to school. And let me tell you the impact of that. And that will give you the real reason. Yes, you may be buying rice at a higher price at some point, but it gives you the leverage to reduce one very important expenditure line. Because one of the key components that takes in our income is when you pay for transport. You earn 50,000 naira a month, but you spend more than half of that in transport. For instance, you work in Invicta FM and you live in Sabo or you live in Kao. How much do you spend to come to Invicta? That takes the chunk of your income. Whatever you get from Invicta goes into transport. So government have taken that off for you. And what that means for civil servants, the NLC themselves carried out an assessment that shows that civil servants in Kaduna are able to save 40% of their salary because they don't spend any amount in transport. The same thing with the trader that does not spend money to go to the market. She has more income and more capital to do her business. For the students, it is higher enrollment in school because children ordinarily that cannot go to school because of transport. You can imagine as a father, you need to give 2,000 every day to your son to go to school. In some days, he may have to stay at home. That means education is also being improved. You have higher stake, you have higher enrollment. It tells you, yes, that things are better. The artisan that earns 3,000 from the laborer work he does every day is able to save his transport, because the average analysis that we did for 5 months between July and November, Kaduna State Government Transport Scheme was able to save for the people of Kaduna State 1.39 billion naira in 5 months. And this was because before the increase in fuel price. Now we're concluding the second phase of our assessment that starts from December to the end of May. That is another 6 months. And that initially, like I said, from July to November, we're able to move 18,000 passengers. Today, we are talking about 22,000 passengers per day, because you have more people using the bus because of the increase in prices of fuel. A number of people with cars and vehicles have decided to park their cars at home to join the buses provided by Kaduna State government. A number of people, are able to come together, pull their effort together, to go to work. Simple calculation, you will discover somebody who is spending 3,000, 2,000 per day is able to save that money in doing other things with the resources. That, in simple analogy, I'm telling you the impact of what the Renewed Hope project. Even federal government as a country, as a layer of government, is able to do a lot more. In states, in subnationals. Let me give you the example of Kaduna. Kaduna is one of the major beneficiaries of the Renewed Hope project of Mr. President. The example is the Kaduna-Abuja corridor was one major project that was inherited by the current administration. A lot of challenges, one of which is the security issue that prevailed, and the government and the contractors couldn't continue with the work because you cannot afford to do some work on that highway from Kaduna to Abuja. Was one of the hub, the epicenters of kidnapping. If we recall, 3 years before now, you can dare not travel to Abuja. Of course, if you're traveling to Abuja during those days, you have to sacrifice and say a farewell things to your family. In case you are not able to return, you have to go to Abuja. It was that difficult. It was difficult to go to Abuja. It was easier for people to travel to Kano by road and then fly to Abuja by flight to Abuja from Kano, because it was very difficult to travel to Abuja. It was nearly impossible to go to Bunungwari. I remember people have to come together with a lot of security, and they travel once a week. For some people, it was easier to maneuver through part of Niger to Tagina and come through that border that I mentioned. Kaduna is bordered by Niger State. They travel about 9 hours to go to Bunungwari, a journey of about just 1 hour, because it was impossible to go to Bunungwari. The same with communities in Giwa, the same with communities in Kajuru. I am a witness. Before 2023, I was almost kidnapped on my way from Kajuru at a very dangerous bend. Only God made it possible that I was not kidnapped. But people that were together were kidnapped, because it was difficult to go to Southern Kaduna on those roads. Today, you can travel anywhere without any fear. Of course, like I said, we have some pockets of challenges, but it is a thing of joy to see that Kaduna is safer. And that is what is attracting people to come to Kaduna, because Kaduna is one of the third most populous states in Nigeria. And there are a lot of investment opportunities to make money. Kaduna, has the highest production of maize in the whole of Nigeria. Kaduna is the highest producer of tomatoes in Nigeria. Kaduna is the highest producer of ginger, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa. Kaduna is the second best in the production of soya beans. How do you harness these resources when there are no security? How do you harness these resources when there are no infrastructure that connects you to those areas? So, Mr. Toyin, in simple analogy, this is what Renewed Hope is about. The federal government, I have spoken less about the Kaduna-Abuja corridor. The federal government, just recently approved a rail project for Kaduna State worth 1 trillion naira. What that means, we're doing a 50-kilometer light rail project that connects from Rigachukun to Kao to the city center up to Sabo. It penetrates through communities. You can move on the light rail. And that essentially is not just about bringing the light rail. Yes, it is important that we have the right. Well, what does that mean to the current infrastructure? When you overstretch the existing infrastructure, let me give you an example. For those of us who are in Barnawa, the station roundabout, over and again, that's a portion of the road have to be reconstructed over and again because of the heavy trucks that comes in from the southern corridor to the northern corridor. Because of the heavy trucks that goes into the station market, people that bring in plantain, fruits to station roundabout, because of how heavy these trucks are, the road around that part of the roundabout, there is a lot of overstretch on the infrastructure. Now the train will remove that impact because there is a train project that connects Kaduna to Kano to Maradi. It's a 203 kilometers that is being done by the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, providing just a stretch from where we are. There is a dry port in here in Station Roundabout. There is also another dry inland port in Kano in Dala. So, for instance, as a businessman that goes to China or goes to Dubai or goes to any of these countries to import items, you don't need to go to Lagos to clear your products. You can just come to station here. There's a dry inland port to clear your goods. You can clear your cars, you can clear your goods, you can clear everything that is within the approved list of importation. The same thing that is going on in Dala, the dry inland port in Kano. You can actually buy things from any part of the world and wait in your state to clear it. You don't need to go to Lagos. You have a custom base here, just by the station. It's very big, and an average of 20-30 vehicles, trailers, trucks are being cleared every day because that avenue is being provided, and also to enhance the economic activities within that area.
The program is Guest of the Week, and our guest this morning is the Commissioner of Information, Kaduna State, Malam Ahmed MAIYAKI. We'll come back after this short break.
Keep it locked, keep it loud. Turn your radios up. 98.9.
2 drops of lemon, 1 spoon of charcoal, and salt.
Wetin you dey mix? Why charcoal scatter put for everywhere like this?
Na mixture wey go make my teeth shine o. I wan make my teeth white like your own.
Forget this concoction jare. Make you use the new Pepsodent Natural Charcoal Whitening Toothpaste. Polish your teeth white with the new Pepsodent Natural Charcoal Whitening Toothpaste. E get natural charcoal wey dey active and e dey make teeth white well. E con get lemon essence wey dey clean inside the amount. Pepsodent Charcoal. Natural charcoal. Whiter teeth.
Mama ne masu kyau sun sani, Dettol na tsaro kowace rana. Idan aka fito waje, neman arziki fa, kasuwanci kuma fa, yara na wasa a taɓo, amma ban damu ba, awanni 12 na tsaro kowace rana.
Da amfani koyaushe, Dettol yana da sinadarin tsaro na tsawon awanni 12. Dettol, tsare iyalanku daga ƙwayoyin cututtuka sama da 100 domin su zauna cikin ƙoshin lafiya.
Dettol, be 100% sure.
Abin da nake tunani abubuwa za su canja. Hero ta yana gaban ka. Saya hero ta mashin. Yana da kyau. Hero ta mashin. Baya sa kashe kudi, baya shan mai. Hero ta mashin. Yana da gudu sosai. Hero ta mashin.
Samu damar ƙara tattala manka tare da adana kuɗaɗenka tare da sabbin nau'ikan Hero Hunter Kickstart Alloy da aka sabunta. Yanzu ana samun su a gurin dillalai mafi kusa da ku. Ƙarin tazarar tafiya, sauƙin kashe kuɗi. Domin ƙarin bayani sai a tuntuɓi 0800 080 080.
I found something inside my Nescafe Original 3-in-1 pack the other day. A unique code printed inside.
Yes, so every pack of Nescafe Original 3-in-1 now comes with a code inside in the Nescafe Next Level promo. Just text the code to *7022# and you could win 500,000 naira cash, business tools, and training. Up to 1 million naira in prizes to be won. Promo runs until June 30th, 2026. T's and C's apply. Nescafe. Make your world.
When pain knock your door, when headache show in face, M&B paracetamol day for you. Yeah. When pain won't spoil your day, body day pepper you one kind. M&B paracetamol day for you. That's why from school to office, from market to workshop, Ninja people trust M&B paracetamol. You get you M&B paracetamol. They summer pain fast, fast. They summer pain fast, fast. You get you everybody they use M&B paracetamol day for you.
M&B paracetamol, the red one. Now for you and your family. Next time pain showing more face, knock them down with M&B paracetamol. It get why. M&B paracetamol go give you quick relief one time.
If your symptoms not clear after 2 days, go see doctor.
Invicta FM.
Yana da daɗi, da ɗanɗano tare da Cremella. Ga sauƙi, yana da daɗi a kunu ko shayi.
Yi nishaɗin ɗanɗano mai arziki da daɗi na Cremella Crema, cikakke don babban ɗanɗano a shayi, koko, kofi da sauran zaɓin abinci.
Ya daɗi da ɗanɗano tare da Cremella.
Ƙara ɗanɗano da Cremella.
Oh yeah now, time to run your money correct. Download Bill Station for iPhone and Android, no dolly, or waka go to billstation.com, sharp. Bills, transfer, everything they one place.
Make you get rewarded instanta when you use the referral code BISAN. BISAN. When you download the Bill Station app, make you enjoy exclusive bonuses plus cash prizes wey fit reach up to 5K. No dolly, make you download now.
Bill Station, money no go stress you again.
My friend, time na money.
Hey! Boss don't fool me. Music they jam. Person they holler for change. But driver no send. Because that change got sweet. He gets one important corner key. Your hair don't almost ready. Now him baba stop work. Because your hair feel wait. Go one enter for inside last minute.
Yes, sir. Everything fit wait. The FIFA World Cup 2026 don't show from June 11 to July 19. Catch all 104 matches plus pigeon commentary on top 4 correct channels. Demo. Touchlight the FIFA World Cup live on Super Sport from as low as 5,800 naira per month on GoTV. GoTV. Love it.
A koda yaushe yara na suna kokarin koyon karatu. Guje-guje cikin wasa na rage musu kuzari. Yasa kullum bana rabuwa da Milo a gida.
Ni da mai gidana mun dace da zaɓi mai kyau. Ina godiya da farin ciki kasancewar Milo an yi shi daga sinadari masu inganci kamar su dawa, madara da koko. Shi yasa na tabbatar da yadda yake inganta lafiyar yarana tare da basu kuzari da safe.
Even in Nigeria, that hot pounded yam and soup can't wait because a penalty is about to be taken. Deadlines, emails, and presentations can't wait. Even if the match goes into extra time, we are watching. Sleep can't wait. The FIFA World Cup 2026 starts June 11th to July 19th. All 104 games, pigeon commentary, and 4 dedicated channels. Yes, everything can wait. Enjoy the FIFA World Cup live on SuperSport for as low as 6,000 naira per month. Only on DSTV.
We are the station that all the stations listen to. Invicta 98.9
FM.
Megida. Zo ka ji yadda jaririn ke motsi a cikina.
In ji? Lallai, da alama wannan na da ƙarfi sosai.
Mana, da wa kake gani zai yi kama?
Da ni mana.
A'a, da ni wannan zai yi kama.
To wanda zai zo bayan wannan zai yi kama da ke.
Tabɗi, to har yaushe zan jira wancan ya zo?
Kamar shekara 2 haka.
Kaga a lokacin na samu ƙwarin jiki.
Tattaunawa tsakanin ma'aurata yana da muhimmanci. Mu tattauna.
Mama, sai kin gan yadda na wanke ban ɗakin nan yawon ku sosai fa.
Tabbas zai iya wankuwa sosai a ido, amma idan ba da hypo toilet cleaner kika yi amfani ba wajen kariya to ban ɗaki cike yake da ƙwayoyin cuta baja-baja.
Haka ne, gara ku yarje wa ƙwayoyin cuta, ku kare ban ɗakin ku kullum da Hypo Toilet Cleaner. Jolly Johnny akan titi ke magana. A yau za mu ga kyakkyawar sani da mutane suka yi wa Maggi cikin flavor. Na gaba, karanto harufan celery.
S-E-A-L-A-R-R-I-E celery.
Haba mutumina, ka ce kawai ka sauya harufan zuwa salary. To ga damar ƙarshe, karanto mana harufan turmeric.
T-U-R-M-E-R-I-C. Turmeric.
Kin yi daidai, ga kwali ɗaya na Maggi cikin flavor ki ɗauka.
Maggi cikin flavor tare da albasa, celery da kuma turmeric mai canza wasa na.
No be one, no be two, plenty. It's not true. With Cocoa Glow, your skin they glow. Even tone, your shine they show. Aloe Soothe for soft skin, dry skin repair, no dryness. Made extra hydration for strong moisture. Advanced repair, skin good as new. This is how we do.
Vaseline lotions, enriched with extracts, oils, and moisturizing glycerin. Choose the lotion that gets you.
Oh, you choose your own. Make your skin in the show. Vaseline lotions for you. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Invicta FM.
Lokacin jin daɗi sai Kivo Krima.
Idan na sha ko lokacin shan dari. Kivo, Kivo.
Across Nigeria, MTN Foundation has impacted 600 plus communities with the What Can We Do Together initiative, inspiring a world where no community is left behind with better healthcare and science lab facilities. Nominate a primary healthcare center and a public secondary school for upgrade today. Visit www.mtn.ng/WCWDT or text MTN to 421. Nominations close June 8, 2026.
Mai gida, zo ka ji yadda jaririn ke motsi a cikina.
In ji? Lallai, da alama wannan na da ƙarfi sosai.
Mana, da wa kake gani zai yi kama?
Da ni mana.
A'a, da ni wannan zai yi kama.
To wanda zai zo bayan wannan zai yi kama da ke.
Tabɗi, to har yaushe zan jira wancan ya zo?
Kamar shekara 2 haka.
Kaga a lokacin na samu ƙwarin jiki.
Tattaunawa tsakanin ma'aurata yana da muhimmanci. Mu tattauna.
Yana da daɗi, da ɗanɗano tare da Cremella. Ga sauƙi, yana da daɗi a kunu ko shayi.
Yi nishaɗin ɗanɗano mai arziki da daɗi na Cremella Crema, cikakke don babban ɗanɗano a shayi, koko, kofi da sauran zaɓin abinci.
Ya fi daɗi da ɗanɗano tare da Cremella.
Ƙara ɗanɗano da Cremella.
Invicta FM.
Welcome back. We'll stay with the program, guest of the week, and our guest this morning, Madam AHMED MAIYAKI, the Commissioner of Information, Kaduna State, giving us thoughts on developing stories in Nigeria and particularly in Kaduna State. And AHMED, the primaries were held with the APC. Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the flag bearer still, wants to maintain status quo come 2027. He's the president of Nigeria. Madam Ubasani, also of His Excellency Madam Ubasani, also of Kaduna State, wants to go in for his second term. And primaries were held. Now, these primaries, I'm limiting myself to Kaduna State now. There were issues, and of course, all of these issues that came up were settled amicably. Now, why is that of Kaduna State so different from what we've seen at some state levels? How was Kaduna State able to manage, its contestants, so to say, the negotiations and all that came about? And Kaduna came out of it, and of course, it was done peacefully. How did that come about?
Well, we have a proactive leader who prepares before the storm. who takes very important decisions before it escalates. Of course, party primaries, as provided by the Electoral Act, have shifted from bringing delegates or party executives to nominate candidates that run for offices. The Electoral Act has provided 2 or 3 major pathways, one of which is a consensus among aspirants who are running for a particular office. The other is what we are used to, the direct primaries, what is popularly known as the option A4, where party members, this is returning the power to elect to the people, not just a selected few that call themselves delegates or executives decides who run for an office. The party members, when you say you have membership of people in a party, they should also have a stake, a role to decide who runs for what office. So as a party, the APC, of course, looked at the options of where you have multiple interests, people running for a particular office. There is a committee that was set up by His Excellency the Governor. The committee is being chaired by Her Excellency the Deputy Governor. The Secretary to State Government is a member. The Commissioner of Justice and Attorney General of the state is a member. Myself, as the Commissioner of Information, I'm also a member. The party chair is also a member. The secretary is a member. Very key government functionaries are within the committee. And the task of that committee was simply to see areas where you have multiple interests, call the aspirants. Yes, you have indicated interest to run for an office, but the unity of the party is of utmost importance to us as a party and as a government, because we do not want to have fallouts of the primaries. And then we swung into action, invited virtually all the aspirants from the State Assembly to the National Assembly, both for the House of Representatives and the Senate, to sit down and say, okay, yes, you are also competent to run for this office, but then what do we do to consolidate our efforts? And that significantly was the major reason why we had a very smooth sail. Of course, like I will always say, no model, no mechanism, no framework done by a human being goes without some setbacks. But largely, about 85 to 90% of the issues around aspirants were resolved. And aspirants themselves, you do not just tell us, yes, okay, you have agreed to step down among yourselves. If you are stepping down, you write, because we are also we took a proactive measure in case we want to have any form of litigation, and you are not being coerced into stepping down. You actually agree to step down. Of course, government is large enough. Once we had victory, some of them that stepped down have been appointed into some offices, and then, of course, when elections are won, some will also be considered. And that is what government is about, bringing people. And I was amazed myself, because being a member of that committee. No intimidation. No intimidation. It is, at your own valuation, you decide, you say you are stepping down. Okay, please put it in writing that you are stepping down, blah, blah, blah. Of course, it comes with some incentives for you to step down. So a lot of them saw reason in the conversation, because it is not just we or the deputy governor leading the conversation. It is the governor, because we did that on his mandate. And we actually sat down, and a lot of them saw the reason why we need to be more formidable ahead of the general elections. And, willingly people did that. And like I said, myself and the committee were amazed at some point. Some of the aspirants, when they speak to you, because they come, you introduce yourselves and you tell us why you are running. And when they speak, you'll be amazed of the kind of experience and interest that, have been generated through that process. And, interestingly, a lot of our issues were resolved. Unlike, I do not, like I said, I always want to avoid calling other political parties. But we just had what they call primaries by other political parties just soon after the APC primaries. You know, some of the members that chose, they were doing direct primaries. They couldn't, they were not able to achieve the consensus. They went. Some of the, aspirants who contested or who, had the ambition to become either flag bearers of the party as governors or as members of the reps, they said they never saw any party officials. Nothing happened within the party officials. And I do not know, they have two presidential candidates in one of the parties, the same party having two presidential candidates. Initially, you have Kachuku as the flag bearer of the party, and now you have a former vice president, a perpetual, perennial contestant running for an office, also as a presidential candidate. So this has never happened. We have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the presidential flag bearer of the APC. No one else is, another presidential candidate of the party. You have His Excellency Governor Ubasani, that was overwhelmingly affirmed by members of the party across the 23 local government areas and the 255 wards coming to affirm him with that, overwhelming vote of 459,000 plus votes, in an event that was open, democratic, strengthening internal democracy. The governor will have chosen, or the president will have chosen, not to be affirmed because they are the leaders. No, people came as provided by law, by the Electoral Act, to do that vote, and people were counted across the 255 wards. What that means is that APC as a party has an internal mechanism of strengthening the internal democratic process of the party, because you cannot give what you don't have. You cannot claim to want to have the mandate of Nigerians to lead Nigeria and you are not able to strengthen this process. Oga Toyin, you cannot be an autocratic leader in your home, harassing and humiliating, harassing your family in your own home with your wife and children, and come to Invicta as the head of Invicta and you want to boss everybody around. No, it's not possible. You have to first strengthen that democratic process in your home with your family before you come to anywhere. I cannot do that in my own home, with my family, and come to the Ministry of Information and want to boss everybody. No, I'm the Commissioner of Information. No, it's not done anywhere.
Ahmed, I want to take you back, and some months back in Ibadan. And of course, Sheyi Makinde, governor of Oyo State, then had an assembly of opposition leaders. And one of the things he told them was that the opposition should come out with a formidable front, and that's talking about a flag bearer for the opposition, and that it must field a candidate that will be accepted. Now, I want to make comparisons with that meeting, and of course with what is presently happening in Nigeria, the hard times that people talk about, insecurity and all of that. For the APC, and facing the opposition as it is, because it's turning out to be a formidable opposition that we may face in 2027. How is the present administration going to go around all of these challenges that the ruling party is facing now?
We are not taking the Makinde pathway. We are not taking that route because that is very undemocratic. As a leader, as a governor, a member of a political party, you cannot dictate for opposition parties or what they need to do. You do not have the powers to tell any political parties to come together and bring a candidate. That is undemocratic. You cannot rule over government and decide for the political parties. We've had coalitions, even now in Nigeria as a country, people coming together to say they are forming parties. It is not for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to dictate to them or to tell them how this should be done. So, at least we've had and seen how coalitions are coming together to form parties, and the fallout, and some people leaving the party, moving to their party. That is democracy. And you cannot really dictate how that should be done as a leader. So, in Kaduna, it is not really about bringing the opposition together. What you need to do as a party is what we are doing currently, delivering on the mandate of Kaduna. At least the people of Kaduna are living testimonies to what is happening in Kaduna. They know, they have the knowledge of what Kaduna was before the last 3 years, and they know what it is today. People who travel to Abuja, people who travel to Birnongwari, people who travel to Southern Kaduna, people who travel to all parts of Kaduna know that somebody is in charge.
You're not worried about opposition?
We see, when you say opposition, globally, opposition is supposed to provide an alternative to what government is doing. Yes, I'm a member of the opposition and I feel strongly against what you are offering. I'm here, I want to offer something better. Yes, for instance, the removal of oil subsidy. As opposition, you come together, that is a wrong decision. This is what we're offering Nigerians. We are not going to remove, we are going to return the subsidy, and then we're going to take ABC step for your security, for your well-being, for economic well-being. At least I have told you what Kaduna is able to do with that additional influx of resources, providing the 100 CNG buses for the people of Kaduna. People in Kaduna that listens to me can resonate whether or not we have those free buses in Kaduna. I've not even talked about health, education, agriculture, because with that subsidy, we're able to provide 900 trucks of fertilizer free to 240 smallholder farmers. The smallholder farmers, not the big farmers like you. And that has significantly increased our yield per metric ton per hectare, because our production capacity per yield before we came in was 7.0 per metric ton per hectare. Today we are talking about 12.6% increase in yield, because our farmers are back into the farms because of the level of security of what we've been able to achieve across these communities. Over 500,000 hectares of land were recovered from criminals, and our people are back in the farms. And that is more yield, that is more economic prosperity, that is an economic production value chain for our farmers. Our farmers are back into the farms. In recent history, before the last these 3 years of His Excellency Governor Obasani, a lot of our farmers had deserted. A number of schools were closed down. At least over 200 schools have reopened today because we've had increased security. And a lot is being invested in our schools. Over 168 primary healthcare centers and other health centers were closed down before the last 3 years because of insecurity. Today, these health facilities and hospitals are back. 255 primary healthcare centers were upgraded from level 1 to level 2, providing essential medical services to our people. Now our people can go to primary healthcare in their community and they can be admitted. These hospitals respond to basic medical health, beyond immunization, beyond antenatal services. At least we have cesarean services taking place at that level because we have a more expanded system with accommodation for our health workers and doctors. We have increased the number of health workers because you cannot, it's not enough to just upgrade your health centers, upgrade your general hospitals. We have upgraded about 16 general hospitals across our communities. We have 32 general hospitals across Kaduna State. And efforts are being done to also complete and upgrade and remodel these hospitals to provide basic services. One of the challenge, Mr. Toyin, in our primary healthcare centers is the issue of power. People go to hospitals and in some cases we've seen at least in the social media, how torchlights or the lights of phones are used to carry out medical services. Today, our hospitals in Kaduna, these 255, have a solar system. They have 24-hour light, 24-hour power in our hospitals. We have more equipment, we have more workers, because when you remodel our facilities and you don't have workers, That is the challenge. In recent history, the experience of the people of Kaduna is the sacking of civil servants. At least 1,000, over 28, 30,000 people were sacked. Only in the last 3 years, His Excellency has given approval to recruit 9,000 health workers. And that will happen in the next 5 years. And that is why if you go to our hospitals, you have more health workers, you have more doctors. A lot of doctors, because of the increase in our pay in Kaduna, a lot of doctors from across Kaduna and part of Nigeria are coming to Kaduna because there is no that restriction whether you have to be from Kaduna State. For our medical students who are indigenes of Kaduna, at least they have a direct employment opportunity if they choose to work for Kaduna State government. For our teachers, we are set to recruit 10,000 teachers in our schools because these schools, more schools have been established and constructed for the primary and secondary school education. So a lot is happening. About 25% of our budgetary provision in 2024, 2025, and the current year, 25% of that is into the educational sector. Over 15% of the budget goes to health because of how important. And these are some of the issues that I'm talking about that, is giving our people the benefit. When you see government has taken a decision to remove oil subsidy, at least we have channeled into health, we have channeled into education, we have channeled into infrastructure. And this is across Kaduna, without any discrimination to whether or not you voted the governor in 2023. Kaduna is Kaduna. We have a project in Roimikaratudu that was initiated by our late leader, Sir Patrick Ibrahim Yekoa. How many years ago? The road is just being constructed now after it has been abandoned for the number of years. Late Patrick Ibrahim Yekoa died in 2013. 13 years later, that is when this project is being done. So it is evident that His Excellency is leading Kaduna with compassion, is leading Kaduna with the understanding that we have, yes, we have differences in our religious beliefs, we have differences in our tribes and ethnic, affiliations, we have differences in our political views. But one thing is certain, our strength lies in our diversity. And that is why the governor is working assiduously. As someone who has been in the trenches, who was a civil activist and pro-democracy campaigner, he's looking Kaduna as a state, not with divisions. And that is why Kaduna is more united. In our recent history, Kaduna was sharply divided along religious lines because of the disposition of the leader. Because the disposition of a leader to a larger extent determines the pendulum, the trajectory of that society. And that is what we are having today. Because we've got a leader who has seen it, who has experienced it, who came with a vision to unite Kaduna. The unity of the people of Kaduna State is more critical. Because at some point, people, because of their religious beliefs, they do not go to certain part of Kaduna. People are discriminated upon on religious, ethnic, political lines. And that is not what we have today. And that is why Kaduna, under His Excellency Senator Obasani, Kaduna is more united. Even members of the opposition, the southern part of Kaduna has been in the opposition since 1999. But you have their serving senator, members of the National Assembly, members of the State Assembly, all joining the APC because of how justice or development is not just about the roads that you construct. It's about being just. What you are able to do in Zaria, you are able to do it in Jama'a. What you are able to do in Soba, you are able to do it in Kauru. What you are able to do in Soba, you should be able to do that in Kagarku. And that is what is playing out. The governor looking at the broader, strategy of ending insecurity. Because one of the enablers of conflict is when you have a teeming youth that do not have a job. So the governor in the last 3 years have put together and established 3 skill acquisition institutes in Kaduna State. One in Soba for the northern part of Kaduna State, one in Igabi, in Rigachukun, for the central part of Kaduna State, and then one in Zangwan Kataf for the southern part of Kaduna. This institute rivals greater federal universities of technology in Nigeria. It's one of the best institutes across Africa. And it is designed to train 32,000 youths. Because for you to end insecurity, you must be able to provide jobs and skills for our youth. Because there is a correlation between insecurity, crime, and unemployment opportunities. Because like it is said, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So people are easily recruited. And this is one of the key strategy. And that is why I am proud to say, I can say this anywhere, I say it everywhere, that Kaduna in the last 3 years, we've not had one single ethno-religious conflict. In the last 3 years. One of the key benefits of the current administration that we stand tall to say is we've not had any conflict. Either header-farmer conflict or any religious conflict or any ethno-religious or ethnic conflict in Kaduna. Never in the last 3 years, because we have put in place a mechanism. That's what we call early warning, early response. It is a mechanism that detects a conflict before it strikes, before it happens, and government is able to take decision to resolve such pending signs, because there are enablers, there are signs, there are what we call red flags. When even you as a man, I keep giving an example with the house of Oga Toyin. When you return home as a husband, if there is trouble in that house, you know the signs. And you must take proactive measures to ensure that madam don't shake the table. And what do? And that is how we run Kaduna. We are able to detect the red flags, things that easily can lead to conflict, and we take a measure to resolve it before it happens. And that is why the early warning response, early warning signs and early warning response has led to resolving, at least in the last 3 years, we have received, about 70 early warning signs of conflict. And we've been able to resolve our 65. It happens and then we address it. The Kaduna Peace Model is a non-kinetic approach of this administration that is domiciled in communities. It is not for government to sit in Kaduna, in Sir Kashim Ibrahim House, and dictate to communities how they should be peaceful. Because they know the signs, they know the early warnings, they know, the red flags. And government provides the framework and the support for community leaders, the traditional institution, the religious leaders, the youth groups, to sit down and dictate to identify themselves. Using this mechanism, of course, government providing the oversight, monitoring the process, and ensure that the security agencies respond. Because this is not about the guns and the boots. The non-kinetic approach is also a way of saying, okay, let's come together. And that is one major model that is working for Kaduna. And that model has remained one important framework that even countries across Africa are looking to domesticate.
So, Honorable, I bring you to this again because I haven't heard, the things that you said about what the reforms that we're getting in Kaduna. Taking our children out of the streets is becoming, a big issue now. And, of course, on drugs. Not only in Kaduna State, all over the country, that we know that our young ones are going into drugs and, the concerns that raises for us. And taking them out of the streets. Because, again, we're seeing our children back on the streets and wondering why they're not in school. So what efforts are government or is government?
When this administration came, it made 550,000 out of school children. Children that are ordinarily supposed to be in school. Now, there are two things: school enrollment and school retention. These are two different things. You enroll children to school and they drop out after 1 year or after one session. But it is one thing to get these children enrolled and retain them till they graduate. Today, from that 550,000 out of school children, it has reduced to 187,000, because there is a deliberate strategy that takes off these children from the street and enroll them to schools. Yes, you can put laws punishing parents, punishing children, but these laws haven't worked in the past. So, of course, it comes with incentives. When you say out of school children, Nigeria accounts for the highest number of children on the streets. At least we have over 13 million children on the streets. And Kaduna, out of that number, we have 550,000. And we are working with key players and stakeholders within the educational sector to reduce this. When you say out of school children, there is a certain age between the age of going to school, enrollment of about 7 years, to post-primary education. Now, we see it beyond that. When we came in 2023, a number of our youths have dropped out of school because of the higher tuition fees that are being charged by the previous administration. At least it was difficult for a number of people to pay that fees. In our institutions, Kaduna State University, Nubali Polytechnic, College of Education in Gidanwaya, School of Nursing in Pambegua, in Kaduna, School of Health in Makarfi, the fees were so high that a number of our youth also dropped out. That also accounts for the number of children. You wouldn't call those children because they are already adults. The government took a decision to review the tuition fees by 50%. And that also led to enrollment, because I know personally some people who were in the university in 200 level, 300 level, because of the fees, they had to drop. For those who were privileged, they moved to other states and enrolled in those institutions, but started all over. But in Kaduna, we decided to say it is free. And government in Kaduna State had invested, after that policy of reducing the fees by 50%, now introduced a scholarship scheme and has invested about 1 billion naira in the last 3 years in providing scholarship. About over 470 million is being invested for students who are schooling abroad. And these are indigent of Kaduna State with parents that do not have ability to sponsor them. Not the children of MAIYAKI, who is the commissioner and who can probably afford to enroll his children somewhere. No, the children of people that cannot afford. The government have invested close to 500 million in sponsoring these children to school. And then for locally, for our students across institutions, we have two systems. We have one that is called scholarship. The other is bursary. The scholarship is the government pays for your entire fees, tuition fees, directly to the school. Yes, you are a student of KASU, and we have a list of students of KASU who are from Kaduna State. The government pays into the account of Kaduna State University directly. And then the others are bursaries. Maybe you are in an institution where it is above the payment plan of Kaduna State. We give the money directly to students who support themselves, because it is above. Of course, you have institutions that charges more higher than Kaduna State University. So in those cases, we give you directly. We have law students that we pay their fees for law school every year in the last 3 years. And that is amounting to huge sums of monies. At least the fees that is being charged in law school is about 250,000. How many students will graduate from university with parents that can afford to pay such monies into law school? And that is one of the things that we've done in the last 3 years. You know, supporting people with low income, focusing on the downtrodden, focusing on the people on needs, focusing on providing support. At least I keep talking about the CNG buses because this is one of the best models that have worked in Nigeria. Even the federal government is learning from Kaduna. Federal government of Nigeria is just planning, just about some weeks ago, launched the same scheme in Kano. But it is also not totally free. So they have seen the Kaduna model at least working for the last 11 months. And a lot of states Personally, I've got colleagues who are commissioners of information from across Nigeria. We have a forum of commissioners of information coming to ask the model of Kaduna in transport scheme because it's impacting directly on our people. Just imagine a low-income earner that spends 3,000 naira every day to go to work. How much do you spend in a month? How much do you earn? That goes largely into transport because of the cost in fuel prices and the cost of transportation. And even if you look at largely, one of the reasons why we have high cost of foodstuff is because there is a transportation between the farm to the market, from the market to people in shops, and you pay higher. Of course, largely the end user or the consumer will have to pay for all of that. When government is able to take that decision, it improves on the lives of people. That is essentially what government is about. You must provide an essential service that supports your people in health, that supports your people in education, that supports your people in agriculture, because the basic needs of people lies in these three areas. Health, whatever you get, you have out-of-pocket expenses that takes you to the hospital every week. You have malaria, you have to go to the hospital. And that's why we have the Kaduna Health Insurance Scheme that have taken about 39,000 vulnerable groups at least to have free access and increased health coverage in Kaduna State. In the last 3 years, this administration has paid over 17.8 billion naira in pension and gratuity, because it came in 2023 and made a debt backlog of about 24 billion naira in pensions. And today, in the last 3 years, we have paid 17.8 billion to our pensioners and next of kings, because among the burden line, next of kings, children of people who have worked for the state and they have lost that breadwinner who pays, who supports them. And that is one of the decisions of this administration, to focus on those people that have been abandoned. Imagine a backlog of about over 24 billion naira in pension. So far, we have paid over 17.8 billion in that process of ensuring that we cushion the effects of our senior citizens that have committed and invested their time while working for the state government. And that also applies to other sectors. I know we are, limited by time. I may have to step down here, but then I will request personally to come back here so that we have this conversation. It is important to engage, and then one important way I will want us to do is to also open the lines so that people are able to call and say, MAIYAKI, these things that you have said is not true. These things that I have said, there are no buses in Kaduna taking people free.
Okay.
The roads that we have talked about, constructing 150 roads spanning 1,400 kilometers across our communities, is not true. That Kaduna is not longer safe.
All right, Honorable, you took that away from me. I was going to get to that.
Okay.
That governance, that people need to know. People are, government too. They need to know what government is doing. We're glad that we're having you on our program, Guest of the Week, to really shed light on what government is doing and what government expects of the people too. Because again, we need to have the people to keep, behind what government is doing.
People should remain peaceful. People should pay taxes.
Okay.
People should remain united. We should be communal. We should support each other, and of course, support the administration of His Excellency Governor Obasani.
I'd like to thank you, Honorable Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Ogatoyin. Thank you, Ogatoyin. I keep saying this, Ogatoyin.
That's a lot of short on that. Thank you so very much for coming on the program, Guest of the Week, with us this morning. And that's the Commissioner of Information, Kaduna State, Malam MAIYAKI, putting his thoughts on reforms in Kaduna State and, of course, what the government will expect of the people of Kaduna State. We'll come back tomorrow with Guest of the Week to bring back a return of this program, because that will be a repeat broadcast of the program at 9:30. We thank you, Honorable.
Thank you very much.
Invicta FM.
Mama ne masu kyau sun sani Dettol na tsaro kowace rana. Idan aka fito waje neman arziki fa, kasuwanci kuma fa, yara na wasa a taɓo. Amma ban damu ba, awanni 12 na tsaro kowace rana.
Da amfani koyaushe, Dettol yana da sinadarin tsaro na tsawon awanni 12. Dettol, tsare iyalanku daga ƙwayoyin cututtuka sama da 100 domin su zauna cikin ƙoshin lafiya.
Dettol, be 100% sure.
Mai gida, zo ka ji yadda jaririn ke motsi a cikina.
In ji? Lallai, da alama wannan na da ƙarfi sosai.
Mana, da wa kake gani zai yi kama?
Da ni mana.
A'a, da ni wannan zai yi kama.
To wanda zai zo bayan wannan zai yi kama da ke.
Tabɗi, to har yaushe zan jira wancan ya zo?
Kamar shekara 2 haka.
Kaga a lokacin na samu ƙwarin jiki.
Tattaunawa tsakanin ma'aurata yana da muhimmanci. Mu tattauna.
Hey! Boss don't fool me. Music they jam. Person they holler for change. But driver no send. Because that change got sweet. It gets one important corner kick. Your hair don't almost ready. Now in Baba stop work. Because your hair feel wait. Go on enter for inside last minute.
Yes, sir. Everything fit wait. The FIFA World Cup 2026 don't show from June 11 to July 19. Catch all 104 matches plus pigeon commentary on top 4 correct channels. Touchlight the FIFA World Cup live on Super Sport from as low as 5,800 naira per month on GoTV. GoTV. Love it.
Shin kun gaji da wahalar biyan kuɗaɗe kamar na katin wuta? Ai kuwa, a Bill Station ana iya yin hakan cikin daƙiƙa kaɗan. A biya ko aika kuɗi cikin sauƙi. A ko'ina kuma a kowane lokaci. Ga sauƙi, sauri da tabbacin kariya. Bill Station, kuɗinku, manhajarku.
Jig sachet don land gidigba. Now you don't get gidigba power to make your white dem dey shine wow. Come still fit sama 99.9% of all type of yamayama for your floor and on top other things dem. Just jig am with jig sachet.
A faɗin Najeriya, gidauniyar MTN ta kawo ci gaba a cikin fiye da al'umma 600 ta hanyar shirin su na me zamu yi a tare, What Can We Do Together Initiative. Ana ƙarfafa al'umma ta yadda babu waɗanda za a bari a baya wajen inganta kiwon lafiya da samar da ɗakunan gwaje-gwaje na kimiyya. Al'ummarku na iya zama ta gaba wurin amfana da wannan tsarin.
Zaɓi cibiyar kula da lafiya matakin farko da kuma makarantar sakandaren gwamnati domin ɗaga darajar su a yau. Ziyarci www.mtn.ng/WCWDT ko a aika saƙon MTN zuwa 421. Za a rufe amsa a ranar 8 ga watan Yunin 2026. MTN.
The hottest hits on your radio. I'm on fire.
The best music.
Victor 98.9 FM.
Wa Maridilanawa, Maridilanawa, les Africains Maridilanawa, Iwa Bark Ayakholo, Rassad Rankhlo, Africa can, Morocco can, yes we can, Mama Africa rise, golden prize, Africa cup, level up. 25-5-5 AFCON now live African football alive
All right, people, they be this morning, and good morning, welcome to your favorite sports show in the city of Kaduna. And this now sports zone, of course, you are tuning to Invicta 98.9. And the name na Berry P Magazine, and me be the professor of talking sport. Updates where they shake the world of sport. From transfer to Champions League basketball, even some tennis, soccer. We were just too full like this. We enter straight into the action without wasting too much time. You not on the tuning already, they wait for the program. I don't enter. More than no vex, I come too later. Once I don't reach. Something we go suit tonight this morning. And now this season finished with a wait like 1, 2, 3 or 2 months. Begin top transfer. They don't win the La Liga. They don't talk, say they no one rest at all. Yesterday, the news, they hot. All the way from Spain, go England. Go chase one person where the Newcastle United. And right now, they talking like this. For Newcastle United, don't become Barcelona player. They sign up for 80 million pounds. 10 million pounds. Bonuses, of course. And now waiting the sub it up. We can't begin to criticize. Why they go sign somebody like God? And where they already get person like Rashford, we don't prove himself for like. For they there on loan, and the price will be say Manchester United put for them to sign 25 million pounds. And people don't talk, say why they go leave Marcus Rashford to sign Anthony Gordon. And too much time they come out yesterday talk again say we don't sign Anthony Gordon and we go still manage put a pencil down. We sign Marcus Rashford on a permanent deal this time around. And so because next season go hot where. You see the way make we see what thing they go do. And maybe they wait make the World Cup kick off so that they go see some of the top talent men and sign them. Everyone we think say top finish run enter Atletico de Madrid camp. And because the money where them put for Julian and now say they don't trigger the club. Bring Julian up come Barcelona again. This one which they call triple threat. Imagine Julian when he got everybody will go play Barcelona next season. Mokuna they fear, and because they don't arrange themselves, they don't set. Everything go hot where. Les Africans are getting when they listen, in the trend now with the carry come and set to leave Manchester. Was he saying they set to leave Manchester City and the only one ain't talk saying now man Barcelona. So is he not telling the agent already? And say making go paper everything and make it set because he plan now to move to Barcelona. African football alive. In the times of Zambia to they be one silver remain with City but at this moment and Bernardo Silva don't talk saying Barcelona and he won't join that. And meanwhile away from Barcelona we could talk about other places too. Inter Milan until Italy AC Milan and they don't begin discussion with former Chelsea manager and that now Mauricio Pochettino. Remember the same manager coach Tottenham Hotspur before after the San Massimiliano Allegri. And Pochettino currently they handle the United States national team ahead of their 2026 FIFA World Cup. But then they very very hopeful say they go sign this guy because if you check out correctly when the season ends and you go see properly say Manchester Milan possibility of playing in the UEFA Champions League alongside Juventus and will be said that can be that and that's be like now like this AC Milan